Hello YouTube, Video Game Ass here with another video for what you guys should look out for when playing the Palworld TCG. Now, what we're going over is cards that have very good utilization in the game itself. Obviously, will you be using all of these cards? Who knows? The deck is up to you to make, but these are cards you guys should look out for when opening your starter decks and your packs from the dawn of Palpagos. Just a quick heads up for those of you guys who may not know, maybe you haven't opened up product as of just yet, but the starter deck cards are all exclusive to the starter deck, and the packs are all exclusive to the packs. Meaning, if you were to open up a starter deck, all of the cards that are found in that starter deck are not going to be found in a pack itself, and vice versa. In the starter decks, though, there are unique cards that are known as TSR rares that will be a higher rarity than they're supposed to be, and they are unique to the starter deck, so you'll never be able to pull them in a regular pack. Same thing with the packs. Everything from the packs will not be in the starter decks, and there are obviously a bunch of different rarities in those packs as well that will not be featured in the starter decks. So this is stuff you need to look out for in both the starter decks and the packs in no particular order besides type. So we'll just go over it one at a time, and obviously I can throw a little bit of extra words out there for you guys to have an idea of why you would need said card, and where you would be able to find said card. So let's start off with the red cards. This is Foxparks, the Light of Courage. This is the one that is found in a actual pack. There are two versions of Foxparks, both having unique abilities and unique effects, but one is found in the starter deck, red blue, and the other one is found in the pack itself. The Light of Courage is in the packs, where it states Brave 300 on attack, gains 300 until the end of the turn. It does go with the gear for Foxparks, the Foxparks harness, which we'll be going over in a second, but I will go over Foxparks A Toasty Hug. This is a 4-drop interrupt. Very, very good, especially if you are already running the Foxparks harness. You can add this into your deck both as a hand interrupt or as a trigger for the Foxparks harness. I'm going to go down to the Foxparks harness now, so that way you guys have an idea of what it does. The Foxparks harness states, action, rest this card, choose a pal, it gets plus 200 until the end of the turn. If its main name is Foxparks, it gets the skill, in quotes, until the end of turn, auto on attack. Choose up to one pal and deal 700 damage. So, if you're using Foxparks, you're probably going to be using both the Light of Courage and a Toasty Hug, along with at least one or two Foxparks harness cards. Like I said before, the Light of Courage is in the packs, and so is the Foxparks harness. The Toasty Hug is in the red-blue starter deck. Univolt's Valiant Thunderclap is a 4-drop 600 that also has Brave on attack, gaining plus 300 until the end of the turn. A 4-drop 2-strike with 900, literally being a turn 2 card that can swing for 900 and 2-strike for early pressure. Very, very strong. Again, a pack card, not a starter deck card. Bushi, the Ephemeral Blade, states auto. At the end of the battle this card attacked, you may return this card to your hand. A 5-drop 800 that has 2-strike seems kinda bad to bounce back to your hand, but it's also because it is an interrupt card, meaning you can pay a cost of 1 soul or another card in your hand to disrupt your opponent's attack and stop them from attacking. Pretty solid card for the fact that it is both a lucky, so if you rip it off the top from damage, you don't take damage. It also can give you an attacker to do 2-strike, and then you can put it back into your hand, and also be a hand disrupt. Is very, very strong. Another pack card, not the starter deck. Blaze Howl, the Hellflame Defender, is another interrupt. 7 cost, 1200 with 3 strike. 3 strike is very, very strong. So it is a good late game card to kind of close out the game, and or you can use it, of course, to interrupt. Next up is Suzaku, the Hellfire Wings. Oh, right, that's also a pack card, not a deck card. Suzaku, a lucky 7-drop that says continuous. When your red card would deal damage other than battle damage to a pal, deal plus 200 damage instead. Its effect is also on deploy. Choose up to one pal and deal 700 damage. And because of the continuous effect, it actually reads, choose up to 1 pal, deal 900 damage. Effectively, getting a free 900 damage is really, really nice. This does not state that it does not stack, so it also has that wonderful ability of, simply put, you can have multiple Suzakus on the board, and each time you play a new one, the continuous ability is stacking, so Suzaku plus another Suzaku makes it 11 damage, and then 13, and then max 15. But I doubt you're ever going to get that far with 4 Suzakus, but if you do, good on you. This is a exclusive to the pack. Blazema the Molten Sovereign is an 8-drop lucky with 1600 attack, 3 strike, and on deploy, choose up to a pal and deal 1000 damage to it. This one is a starter deck exclusive. Pretty baller card, though. Just being as strong as it is, 16 is still very powerful, it is still a lucky, and it can still blast through an opponent's pal very easily. This card is probably one of the better cards, if not the best card in the game. Jormuntide Ignis' Savage Lava Dragon, 8-cost lucky, exclusive to the pack. Action is once per turn. You can pay 3 or discard 2 cards from your hand to stand this card. I got dunked on by turn 3 because Chillet whipped this thing out with no prior setup. It just went, my opponent's turn 3, he has 5, he goes Chillet, top decks Jormuntide, it goes face. I didn't have an interrupt. So I lose 2 from Chillet, I lose 4 from this. He just discards 2 cards from hand, hits me again. No luckies were found, and I just lost on turn 3. Very strong card. And for our strategy card, an event for Axel strategy, choosing one of the following, choose 1 pal, deal 15. 100 is a lot. Choose X amount of pals and stand them. X is equals to the number of gear. And then choose all of your opponent's 5 or greater pals. They cannot block until the end of the turn. Very good for going face and not being stopped or just dealing with things that you can't normally deal with. The final red card we want to go over is the Pump Action Shotgun, which states on deploy, choose all your opponent's pals and deal 1200 damage to them. Choose 1 pal, it gets plus 200 until the end of the turn as an action. Pump Action Shotgun, very strong. It just stops your opponent from playing smaller guys out and just winning the game by just keep swinging on you. You know, you play 1 card, the whole thing gets ruined. So, very good. Even as a 1 or a 2 drop, it's probably going to be in your deck. Again, pack exclusive. So now we're going to go down to the blue cards. First up being Fuwak. Still not sure if I'm ever saying that name correctly. It's like strange, but auto when this card is attacked, it gets plus 300 until the end of the turn. Very good 2-drop. Obviously, in more defensive playing decks, you can start this guy. If your opponent tries to swing on you early game, you can use Fuwak to block. Very, very good for a defender to let you kind of get a little bit of momentum back to your side and slow your opponent down from early attacking. Celeray Loop-de-Loop, 3-drop auto. That states draw 1 card, choose 1 card from your hand, and discard it. Fuwak, by the way, is just a uncommon in the packs. Same with Celeray. Celeray might be a common. This card is actually really nifty. Being able to draw 1 and choose 1 and discard it. The discard, yeah, not super fantastic, but some decks need other pals in the discard pile for other abilities to trigger, so this can help you get certain things into the discard pile while also resetting cards to your hand. So it's not bad. Next up is Panglet, Yearning for the Sky. There are 2 Panglets. One is starter deck exclusive. This one is pack exclusive, but this one is clearly the better of the 2, even though in most cases you'll be using both anyway. Panglet does state auto when this card is put into the graveyard, draw 1 card. It's something small, but that draw 1 card means a lot in this game, so it's definitely something you're going to want to run a lot of. In most cases, you're going to be running 4 anyway, and I'll explain why with this card. Panglet Rocket Launcher is just good. If you're running a blue deck of any kind with any other color, you're most likely going to be pairing it up with the Panglet Rocket Launcher. Simply put, it states that choose a pal gets plus 200 until the end of the turn. But if its main name is Panglet, get 500 more, and the skill in brackets, which states until the end of the turn, action. Rest this card, choose all of your opponent's pals, and they get damage equal to X. X is equal to the card's power. Put this card in the graveyard. So, Penguin now gets the ability to blow itself up and wipe your entire opponent's board. And because it's got the ability from the one earlier that stated when it goes to the graveyard, draw 1 card, you can play it for 4, activate the ability of this, bomb something, and take out 1100 damage to your entire opponent's board, and draw 1 free card. And that is why it is in a lot of decks, if not every single one that's using Chill. Pangolin, my apologies. Next up, we have Chillet, the Dragon Whisperer. Like I said before, this thing is super crazy. As a 5-drop lucky, on deploy, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a 8 or less Dragon-type pal, you may deploy it. And if you did not deploy it, you get to add it to your hand. It's disgusting, because it just gives you a free card to your hand. Regardless of whether it's a dragon or not, you just add a card to your hand. But if it is, say, Jormuntide, if you went second, you start 1 card as your soul, or 1 soul. You know, and then you take your turn, you have 3. And then on your second turn, you have 5. And if you're just lucky enough, you can slap Chillet down and then bring out a Jormuntide Ignis. There are many big dragons, Astagon, that can just get freely summoned from your deck because Chillet just said so. So when you have 5 mana on your turn and you slap this guy and then you hit an 8-drop, so now you have paid 13 soul in a single move on turn 3, it's very unlikely your opponent's going to come back from that. So it can just win games on turn 3. It's not fair. Very good card. Don't suggest trading it. Don't suggest selling it very quickly if you plan on playing the game. It's going to be a mainstay. Also, it is pack exclusive. Raindrix Icy Gaze. This one is a starter deck exclusive card, which is a 5-drop interrupt. Interrupts are very good. There aren't that many, and a lot of them do come out of the starter decks. So, just as a heads up, you're going to want that. Same with Azarobe here. Azarobe is from the packs, but it does stay on deploy. Draw 1 card, choose up to 1 pal, and rest it. Very useful. Overall, a 6-drop 12 is very, very strong. It is still a lucky pal, so obviously it will take up a few zones in your deck because you will want to run more than one of them. And even if you draw into it, you can deploy, rest your opponent's pal, and then use Azarobe to swing into it to clear smaller pals if need be, or, just use it to draw 1 card. Sometimes that 1 card could help you win the game because you need more stuff in your hand. Next up, the other hand disrupt, the attack interrupt, unfortunately is also in packs. Cryolinks. Arctic Ordeal. So we got Cryolinks in packs, and we have Raindrix in the starter deck as our 2 hand disrupts. So you have options, but getting them both, you'll most likely need to go through getting a red-blue starter deck and a couple of packs. Effaldrin Aqua is a starter deck exclusive. Draw 2, choose a card from your hand, and put it on the top of your deck. This card can allow you to put things on the top that you may want to be able to use to block. If your opponent has a large pal standing in front of you, you should be able to use this to put a lucky from your hand onto the top of your deck to block yourself from at least 1 attack. And or maybe if you know you're going to get swung into, you can place something you don't want in your hand on the top of your deck, so you can have your opponent mill it, so that way you don't draw back into it, and you can get rid of it instead of having to hold it, Things like that. So you're still able to draw 2 new cards and place something you don't need on the top. Relaxosaurus, the Hungry Gunner, is a double rare from the packs, which, again, another dragon that Chillet can just bring out, by the way. It says, auto on deploy, choose up to 1 6 or less cost pal, and rest it. While this card is on the field, that card does not stand. It gets just stuck there. And a 7-drop 12, Azarobe is a 6-drop 12, just as a quick reminder on that front. Relaxosaurus being able to stick something on the board and then you don't have to worry about it is very powerful. Next up we have Jormuntide, the Surging Sea Serpent, another option for that Chillet combo, like I stated. But it does say draw 1 card, choose up to 1 7 or less pal, and rest it. That card does not stand during your opponent's next stand phase. Very strong! Also 3 strike, so Chillet deploys the pal, and it deploys it in an unrested state, so it can attack immediately, and you can rest your opponent's pal, so that way they can't block you. Next up, we have some events. Aurora Guide. Quick, draw 1 card, choose 1 card in your hand, and put it on the top of the deck. Now, this card is a wonderful combo card for your 7 soul turn, where you're able to use Aurora Guide to draw 1, place any card on the top of your deck, pay the other 5 in order to summon out Chillet to then, since you've placed a dragon on the top of your deck, freely summon a dragon from your deck. Aurora Guide, very, very good. I haven't seen too many people run more than 2 of them, though, so it may not need a full 4 cost for your combo, but it is an option for you guys to think about. Oh, by the way, Jormuntide and Aurora Guide, both are not starter deck, packs. Pack exclusives. Next up is Crystal Breath. This is a starter deck card that says quick, choose a pal. It gets -3 strike until the end of the turn. This card does not stand during your opponent's next stand phase. So you are able to stop your opponent from swinging into you. For 2 turns, realistically. Victor Strategy, this card I've seen plenty of people play at least 3 or 4 cards in a deck. It is a pack card that states choose one of the following, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 1 card from among them and add it to your hand, shuffle the rest back into the deck, choose 1 pal and return it to the hand, or draw X cards. X is equal to the number of structures. A lot of people are running the Antique Mirror as a 4-drop, which I feel should be in here, but I don't think it is. But the Antique Mirror is a 1-cost, draw 1 from your deck, and if you can get 3 or 4 of those on the board, just because you've been able to draw a bunch, Victor Strategy says draw 3 or 4 cards. Much better than the look top 5 and add 1, but you also can still use Victor Strategy early in the game in order to set up your hand for that mid to late game play. Next up being Pal Sphere, which is draw 3 cards for a 4 cost. Yes, your turn is basically used by playing this card, but 3 cards is a lot of value in this game, so it is highly looked up to that it is pretty useful in most decks. This is another uncommon from the packs. And next, we're going to go into the green cards. B-Guard is the first of its kind here. I love B-Guard. It's just a funny deck. It's just hysterical. B-Guard just having the continuous ability of you may put any number of cards with the same card name as this into your deck. So you can have like 15 B-Guards in your deck. Just funny. Following that, it also has the auto on deploy, get a fruit. And if you have a farming structure, this card gets plus 500 until the end of the turn. So it is a 3-drop, 900, so long as you have a farming structure. Obviously, the decks pair with farming structures like the ranch and such to get more and more value, because every time you play a B-Guard, you have things like Eliza B getting value. Eliza B obviously stating that this card gets plus 300 for each of your main name B-Guard pals, and you can consume 1 fruit to look at the top card of your deck, and if that card main name is B-Guard, you may play it with its cost reduced by 2. It does not become 0 or less from this ability. If it is a B-Guard, you can play it for 1 cost, just by paying 1 fruit. The problem with this, it says look at the top card of your deck. If it is a B-Guard, you can play it, but it doesn't say what happens to the card if it isn't a B-Guard. Because it only says look. It doesn't say like add to your hand or reveal and then shuffle back into the deck. So that is a ruling question. I would not know. Anyway, passing the Eliza B, which by the way, very strong 5-cost, lucky. This is also a exclusive to the packs. Same thing with B-Guard. We have Dynasum, who is a starter deck card, which is a hand interrupt, 4-drop, 400 interrupt. Very useful. Not really much to go off of that. It's just an interrupt. It also is a dragon, I guess. You could potentially play it if you use Chill It and hit it off the top. So, I mean, an idea. Wumpa Botan, a 7-cost. This one is from the packs, which states interrupt, 7-drop, 1200 for 3 strike. Honestly, one of the better interrupts, because even if you can't or don't want to use it as an interrupter, 7-cost, 3 strike, plus 12 attack is pretty good for its souls cost, and it's really strong for its strike. I Found an Egg is a pack exclusive that does state look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 1 pal from among them and add it to your hand, and shuffle the rest into your deck. If you chose 0 cards, you can get 3 fruit. Obviously, 2 very good ways to play this. There are cards like Lylene that need to have a lot of fruit in order to use its ability, but there's also the ability of 2-drop. Found an Egg, search your top 5, add a card to your hand for your next turn, especially if this is your turn 1. You can use Found an Egg to either get 3 fruit, depending on your hand, I guess, or pick something up for 4 cost, so that way you're able to play the next turn. 3-drop, Blessing of the Flower Spirit. It says gain a life, draw a card. I didn't think this one was that good, but it is just the same thing as paying 3 souls to draw a card, but you gain the value of gaining 1 life. And in this game, when you only have 10 life, getting a 10% heal is a lot. in a way. And, like, it's deck thinning. It's significantly valued, especially because there are decks that are just prone to going face as much as possible. So this will slow that down and or win you the game just by playing a few of these. So very, very good card. Even if it's just a 2-drop in your, or 2 count in your deck, still very, very strong. Still part of the packs. Lily's strategy following that is another pack exclusive double R, but it has choose one of the following. Choose all of your pals. They get a plus 1,000 until the end of the turn, which I think is a little unfair. That is very strong. Choose a structure or gear and put it into the graveyard, or increase your souls by 1 in the rest of the state. Realistically, I feel like the ramp on souls, since it's plus 2 souls every turn, I feel like Lily's strategy kind of messes with that a little bit. It doesn't really do that much for its last ability, but the effect that you can get rid of a gear or structure is very, very strong. And same thing with the plus 1,000. Lily's strategy, very strong. So do not get rid of those. The next up is the Ranch card. Next one is the Ranch card, which does state action once per turn to assign 1 pal, get either 3 wood or 3 fruit, and draw 1 card. Super good because you can pair this with green type decks. I keep saying grass. You can pair this with green decks that allow you to get a bunch of fruit because it needs a lot of fruit to activate certain abilities, or you can pair it with a green-red deck, so that way you can use it for wood to get the wood abilities. But mainly it's fruit. Next up, the Breeding Farm, stating consume 2 fruit, reveal the top card of your deck and add it to your hand. If it is an 8 cost or less pal, otherwise you put it into the graveyard. Another action once per turn to consume 2 fruit to assign 2 pals. Choose 1 8 cost or less pal from your hand and deploy it. Consume 2 fruit, assign 2 pals, and then freely summon an 8-drop from your hand. And, you know, if your opponents attack the structure, good, you didn't attack the pals. If they attack the pals, okay, I'll just summon other small pals to get more draw power. Maybe they'll draw power pals. And then just get big guys just for some fruit. Just a thought. Just something to think about. Very good card. Lazy Punk, the Treasure Bandit, is a starter deck card that states when this card is put into the graveyard, opponent discards 1 card from their hand. They choose, so that's one thing. But honestly, 3-drop 200, weak, but not bad. Because if I went second, I can start Lazy Punk, and I don't have to think about anything. I will almost every single time attack with Lazy Punk, especially in the early game, because if my opponent has to lose a card from their hand, it is so much value. And you're most likely build around the fact that if Lazy Punk's in the discard pile, you can either bring it back or use it again in some other way. But Lazy Punk just disrupting your opponent's hand by deleting cards is super strong. Very good card in the starter deck. Cognito is another starter deck card, which just says 4-drop 300, but it can't be blocked. So it will always go face. Your opponent cannot block it. They can interrupt. They can't block it with their pals to go for 2 strike. Menacing, honestly, in my opinion, Menacing is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest lucky I can think of, past, like, Jormuntide, maybe? Or Jormuntide Ignis, specifically. But it has the auto ability Retaliate. There's not another pal with this ability, but it states when this card is put into the graveyard during battle, you put the opposing combat pal into the graveyard. So even if your opponent can take it out, they're going down with you. And then his backup ability says when this card is put into the graveyard, choose up to 1 normal pal from your graveyard and return it to your hand. A normal pal is anything that isn't a lucky. So you can put a hand disrupt card back into your hand when you lose Menacing. This paired with things like Lylene Knock to get it back onto the board for free is crazy because you can basically loop Menacing to die, interrupt card to disrupt your opponent's attacks, and then you can bring Menacing back and just keep looping that, so that way you essentially have an infinite loop of defense. Very strong, very good, very control heavy. Blaze Howl Knocked, unfortunately, is a starter deck exclusive, but it does have another interrupt effect, so it is very, very good for decks. Next up is Bellbat, the Life Stealer. This one more so would go towards specific builds, but it is still a very strong lucky with a 7 cost 1,000 lucky that does state stealth. It can't be blocked with a 3 strike, which is super nifty. But on every attack, it also gains 1 life. So, like I said before, gaining 1 life is still 10% of your original HP, and you can go over 10, so obviously you can go to 11, 12, whatever, and keep going up. But since it cannot be blocked, you can use it as a finisher if you're able to use things like Lazy Punk. Discard your opponent's hand. If they have a low hand count, they don't have a hand interrupt, then you can still just go face for 3 strike, and they can't block you. Last couple of cards for this typing is Pyrin Noct, another Nocturnal, by the way, actually. This one is the only one, I think, that has an ability that isn't just interrupt. This one has a continuous Nocturnal if it is night plus 300 attack, but it is a 7-drop hand interrupt that could be up to 1400 attack. 3 strike, making it very, very strong, a pack exclusive. Lylene Noct. Honestly, I'm more of a control type player, so like I enjoy this card a lot because of the combos it makes with the grappling gun, where you can go Lylene Noct, tap, discard, bring back Menace Sting, grappling hook the Menace Sting, so at the end of your turn, Menace Sting stands back up, so if your opponent tries to swing in, you can block with Menace Sting, get a hand interrupt from your discard pile, and then interrupt any other attack that comes through. So you have multiple ways of just looping defensive plays, and you can just keep increasing your board state as time goes on. So really strong, very, very good card. Dark Cannon is a quick effect. Choose a 5 or less pal and put it into the graveyard. The 4-drop of this card is just instantly out something. Just choose a pal and knock it out. This one is a 3-drop, choose a 5-drop or less and delete it. Its cost is very, very effective, and of course, either it clears the early game, or some cards are actually really good as 5-drops, and getting rid of those things, whether it be taunt cards, whether it be just big pals like Chillet, like 900 attack as a 5-drop, very good. So obviously Dark Cannon removing them does make things go a little bit faster for you. Next up we have Zoe's Strategy. Choose one of the following. Choose up to 5 of your opponent's wood and or fruit, and your opponent loses them. There isn't enough right now that kind of grow the value of that. So you don't really ever... Yeah, I've never seen a real reason to use that part. But the next 2 abilities are both kind of gross. Choosing 1 pal from your graveyard, returning it to your hand, and then your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and discards it. Same thing with Lazy Punk. If it gets knocked out, your opponent discards a card, so you can build an entire deck around making your opponent lose a bunch of cards. Next up is choose one of your pals and butcher it. And if you've butchered 1 or more cards this way, you can choose one of your opponent's pals and put it into the graveyard. So, once again, I'm always pairing it with this because it's always, like, the best card. The Lazy Punk, you can butcher that weak little guy, make your opponent discard a card, and then butcher one of your opponent's large pals into the late game. Pretty gross. Last but not least is the Medical Supplies, which says choose 1 8 or less pal from your graveyard and deploy it in the rested state. There are cards with the ability Taunt, which states if this card is rested, your opponent is forced to attack this card first before attacking any other card. Or you, of course. So there are opportunities where you can use Medical Supplies to bring back strong Taunt pals, or if you copy it with, say, a blue deck, you're using purple-blue, you can use things like Grappling Hook, which allows you to then choose one of your pals, give it plus 200, but at the end of the turn, you can stand it back up. So you can bring Medical Supplies and have it stand back up. So if you have bigger pals in the discard pile that is an 8-drop like Mamorist, you can bring it out, and then you can just stand it back up. Now, these are the only 2 that I was informed are probably a little bit better than the others, and there's only so few, as you can see on the board right now, of the neutral cards. I would probably add 1 more to this, probably, is Kativa, my first pal, which says this card cannot be attacked by 3 or less pals, which makes it very viable for the early game, and forcing your opponent to use bigger pals in order to knock it out makes a very good trade. And then we have Efaldrin, the Gentle Radiance, which states you may reveal 1 card from your hand, and if you reveal a dragon, this way, this card gets plus 500 power until the end of the turn. So it is a 4-drop that essentially is an 11-drop, because if you're going to be playing this card, it most likely will be in a Chillet Jormuntide, Ignis, you got Relaxosaurus. We got a lot of different dragons in the game itself, and you can always add Efaldrin. It pairs well with the Chillet. Because if you can chill it into a Faldron, that's still a 5 cost. That's summoned out 9 souls worth of cards. And it's still a 4-drop 1100 with 2 strike. So, very, very good card. My last addition would probably just be that the adventure begins. If you have cards like Lylene Noct, or anything realistically that says discard a card or a Faldron Aqua, you can always put this card in a position where it can get discarded if you don't need it. But it does state if you have not played any other card during this game, draw 2. And if you have 3 or more pals with my first and different names, you can choose all your pals, get plus 1000, plus 5 strike until the end of the turn. Sure, can you do it? Yes. But no one really wants to do that right now after the game has been out for a little while. We all thought it was really funny when we first saw it, but it doesn't really work. But the ability that it does state that at the beginning of the game you draw 2 cards, that small buffer of +2 is really, really strong. These are just the early looks of what these cards can do and where they come from. Kativa, by the way, is a starter deck exclusive. Faldron is not. I may not have said that. Oh, and Adventure Begins is also a pack card, not a starter deck card. If I missed any of them, feel free to call me out. I will update it in the comment section below if need be, if anyone has any questions. If you guys think I missed a card, let me know in the comment section below. We will be doing this for every set that comes out, so feel free to always point out which cards you think are great in my Discord, so that way we can make a nice list together. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got a good little insight as to what cards you guys should be hanging on to, and what cards you guys think you might be able to use.